Joining me now to discuss this is Dr. Robert Aldridge, part of the research team on the UCL Lancet Commission on Migration and Health, and Kimberly Brown, Head of Humanitarian Policy at the British Red Cross. Thank you both for joining us. Dr. Aldridge, I'll start with you. Just tell us a little bit more about this report and what you found.
That's right. We spent 2 years with 20 experts around the world looking at migration and health, really with a view to coming up with what is happening, what are the evidence around the benefits of migration and health. And we found extensive evidence that migrants are young and healthy, that they contribute to economies, and that economies in high-income countries that have 1%, for each 1% increase in migration, they get 2% increase in their GDP. We show that migrants do not spread infectious diseases, and in fact, as you outlined in your report, they're more likely to be bolstering health services through the provision of nursing and healthcare than they are in using the health services themselves. But they do suffer from racism and xenophobia, and one of the most surprising findings from our results were the fact that they have high levels of mortality for assault and violence, unlike the rest of the conditions like heart disease and cancer, where we found that there was lower rates of mortality.
Kimberly, can I come to you? If you could just put all of this in perspective for us, because of course the Red Cross does a lot of work on the ground in host countries as well as the countries they're coming from. Just tell us why these myths exist.
Well, the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement works in nearly 200 countries around the world. And we really see what migrants are facing. They lack access to basic services, such as health, that my colleague was speaking about. They also suffer psychological trauma and often are separated from their families. And that's why the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement is very dedicated to responding to the needs of migrants around the world, to ensuring that they are protected, that they are don't face death, but also we're very happy about the Global Compact on Migration that, of course, is being signed right now in Marrakesh, and we feel that that is a historic moment with the vast majority of states signing that agreement.
Dr. Aldridge, I mean, just more on these myths that exist. Why are they created, and why are many of these communities so fearful?
I think they're probably created because until our report, there hasn't been a solid evidence base on this area, and I think that's why it's been so well received, because we've looked extensively over the last 2 years with experts in law and politics and anthropology and public health, and really gone into the detail of the evidence in this area and summarised it and conclusively debunked a lot of these myths. And we hope that this evidence that we present can be used to change the popular discourse in this area.
I mean, despite these reports, though, is that likely to change anything on the ground?
I think, you know, if you don't have the evidence to prove this, then people can make up what they would like to say. I think the evidence is one thing that we need to do, but we also need to make the case that migrants are helpful for economies and helpful for wider society, and by making those arguments as well and playing on the values of our solidarity, it's really important, and that's how we'll lead to change.
I mean, in the last few years, we've seen the movement of something like a billion people, and there are people who use this, you know, as part of political rhetoric. Is it as easy to say that, you know, particular reports will just debunk some of these myths?
I think we are in an absolutely unprecedented time for migration and forced displacement. And I think the agreements in Morocco show that this time calls for global solutions. We're very happy and pleased with the states that have joined this. We also commend that the UK government has joined this agreement and really has played a leading role in terms of modern slavery and also trafficking. And for Red Cross and Red Crescent national societies, we have an auxiliary role to government. And so we very much look forward to supporting governments around the world to make sure that this global agreement is implemented, but also that it really makes a difference for migrants on the ground and make sure that they are protected from the many dangers that they face along a route.
Dr. Aldridge, I mean, certainly here in the UK,